For 14 long, painful years, Knott's Berry Farm went without adding a new thrill coaster. Sure, we got Sierra Sidewinder, we got Pony Express, and then we got Coast Rider. But since Silver Bullet, Knott's went over a decade and a half without a coaster geared towards teenagers and adults. But 2018 was the year. Without much room to work with inside the confines of the park, Knott's decided to remove their boomerang and their topspin to open up a plot of land that's about 345 feet long and 105 feet wide. The Cedar Fair Park up north, California's Great America, was also looking for a thrill coaster to replace their inverted boomerang and went with the RMC Raptor Railblazer. Knott's could have gone this route, but maybe they thought they needed something with a little better capacity. They turned to Gerstlauer, a company they hadn't worked with since Spinning Dragons at Worlds of Fun in 2004, and ordered a custom infinity coaster for this land, themed to surfing, and called Hangtime. This seemed like the perfect fit for the park, but after 2 years of operation and over a dozen rides, I have mixed feelings over the coaster. These are the pros and cons of Hangtime. The first pro is the fact that it has lap bars. This is hit or miss with Gerstlauer Eurofighters and Infinity coasters. You see the models in the UK, like the Smiler and Saw the Ride, with over-the-shoulder restraints, along with Mystery Mine, Untamed, Shellraiser, as well as a bunch more, and they could have ordered trains like this for Hangtime. But it went the way of the most recent Infinity coaster in America, Monster at Adventureland, and got the lap bars. This makes for a much more free and open experience, even with the beyond vertical and slow inverting elements that it has, and how safe shoulder restraints apparently make the general public feel. It's great that they went with a lap bar route. The first con is that those lap bars tighten a lot. I hold the bar up so it doesn't come down and staple me, and that does nothing on Hangtime. Throughout its 5 inversions, you feel it coming down more and more, and once you're on the final brakes, you hope they aren't stacking trains, because most of the time you're dying to get that lap bar off you. I still appreciate these more than horse collars, but if they could find a way to lock these in from the time you leave the station, that would be great. The second pro is the vertical lift hill. Usually, this is a mundane element, serving the need to get the riders to the peak of the coaster before it lets gravity take over. But when you can lift the train straight up, it adds a thrill factor and a fear factor right off the bat. For the general public, or people who are new to coasters, this is scary to look at. When you're on the train, it feels like you're falling backwards, almost like the lift is beyond 90 degrees straight up. This was a great way to save space also, getting up to that 150-foot point with no space wasted. The second con is the brakes on the first drop. It doesn't just flip you over the vertical lift and down the drop. You sit on an angled section of track as it lets you down little by little. It builds the anticipation and gives you a nice view of accelerator, but I think the coaster would be better off without the brakes. First off, the way the coaster nudges forward can jam you into your lap bar, and that's at a steep angle, which doesn't feel all that great. Second, it takes away from the ejector airtime that you could get on that drop by slowing you down so much over it. From a marketing standpoint, and building the anticipation, and the spectacle of the train hanging over the edge, it makes sense. But from a ride experience standpoint, it hurts the ride. The third pro is that first drop. Despite those brakes, this is a great drop in all rows, especially in the back. It's 6 degrees beyond vertical, and you feel that when you reach that max angle. Because it's only 150 feet tall, and some of the height is taken away with that slanted brake section, the drop does really feel short. But when you finally plunge over the edge and hit 96 degrees for that split second, it is a whoa moment. It's a drop that could be better, but any drop that sends your stomach into your throat is a good one. The third con is the rattle. This is something that was noticeable right off the bat. I was there on opening day and got 5 rides, and I noticed that when you ride near the back of the train, you feel the train shaking around. This seems hit or miss. It may depend on the train, and definitely where you sit. I never noticed any rattle in the front, but there are some spots where it's very noticeable, and it makes you wonder why a brand new ride would do this. It's not the only Gerstlauer with this problem. I rode TMNT Shellraiser on its opening day, and there seemed to be something very wrong with some of the sections of the track. We call these potholes, and Hangtime didn't really have these nasty jolts like Shellraiser, but just some sections where the train seemed to rattle back and forth. Barring any major track work that needs to be done, like we saw after Gale Force's opening year, this is something that maybe Gerstlauer can fix with his trains. The ride's profiling looks butter smooth, unlike those old school Arrows or any Togo, so you wouldn't expect it. The rattle is hit or miss, so don't be shocked if you saw this review and don't notice it. But if you do, well, I told you so. The fourth pro is the negative G's this ride pulls, and the different elements it uses to pull it off. The first one is the negative G stall loop. The ride is called Hangtime, and it does offer one element with some awesome hangtime. After the drop and the non-inverting loop, it flips you upside down very slowly with this negative G stall loop. According to RCDB, this is the only one that exists, so you can claim that you've been through a one-of-a-kind element. The other element is the double down ejector hill between the cutback and the cobra roll. I only have one problem with this element. It's at the end of the ride, and I'm always super stapled. But this made my list of the strongest airtime moments in the country, so it's still a really good moment. It was also nice of Gerstlauer to throw this moment into the ride, because the rest is all about big inversions, so they found a great spot to throw in a little ejector. Even when you're stapled, you feel your body being lifted up to the sky. The fourth and final con is the length. For a ride with a small footprint, it does cram a lot of elements into its layout, but from the first drop to the final brakes, you're looking at about 32 seconds of ride time. That's just 2 seconds more than an RMC Raptor. I don't think they could have crammed anything else onto this plot, since it's already so intertwined, but a couple more elements could have gone a long way. It has the speed to do it. It goes into the brake run with a lot of speed. Monster at Adventureland is about 300 feet longer, and the Smiler is about 1,700 feet longer, with a plot of land just about 30 feet longer and 30 feet wider. Maybe they could have been more efficient with space to get more than 2,198 feet out of its layout. The fifth and final pro is the light package. KCL Engineering is masterful at their craft, and they did some amazing work with Hangtime. If you can get to Knott's and stay after the sun goes down, make sure you get a ride on Ghost Rider first and foremost. That's one of the great night rides I've ever experienced, but also check out Hangtime. Even if you don't ride it, just look at it. It has different colors going on. The lights will follow the train throughout its course. It's just amazing to watch. The whole boardwalk is amazing to see at night, with Hangtime being the centerpiece. Hangtime is a great looking ride as it is, but the lights take it to the next level. One last minor con that I had written down is the fact that it has assigned seating, and this was definitely a big issue in the first few months that it was open in 2018. When I've been back to the park recently, there hasn't been anyone directing you where to sit once you got into the station. Maybe this is because the park was dead, and maybe they have this on busy days, but I really hate assigned seating. And luckily, this isn't a normal thing, like you'll find on Full Throttle or Steel Vengeance. Overall, I think that Hangtime was just about the best option that Knott's could have gone with for this spot. There isn't anything like it in California, and it packs extreme thrills in a small space while still having good capacity, with 16 riders per train. It has 3 trains, but it's fine running with 2, since that third one will stack up on the brake run every time. On my list, I have it ranked at number 89, between 2 Texas coasters, right behind Switchback, but right ahead of Shockwave. Let me know what you think of Hangtime. Do you love it or are you indifferent to it? Or maybe you got a Rattly ride and hate it. Let me know in the comments below. What else could Knott's have put here that would have been better? This park gets massive attendance numbers, so keep capacity in mind. I'm sure that played into Cedar Fair's choice to send the Raptor up north and order the Infinity for Knott's. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. That's the best way to show your support for the channel. And if you're new here and love coasters, please subscribe. It helps me out and you won't miss any of my new content. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.